There he is.
There is nothing happy about this morning. Absolutely nothing. But hi, Molly. How are
Hi.
you?
That was pretty epic to start the show.
Uh-huh. Everybody clowning me today. What do you want? Why is he here today? This
Bad
is not a
dog.
Wednesday. Why is he here?
Number one, I got all these pieces of candy for the pipsqueaks who knock on my door this afternoon for Halloween. So there you have it. I want to make sure I show you that right out of the gate. Good morning.
Way to be in the spirit, Mad Dog. Great to have you with
You
us.
know that doesn't mean anything, right? Because he already revealed yesterday that he's going to have his dogs outside barking at folks, making them scared to enter his property.
Probably a Yorkshire
You know what I'm
Terrier and a
saying?
Pomeranian.
I mean, come on, man.
Let's go.
Them Pomeranians never shut up, though. They bark all the time. All the time.
Sounds personal. The Dodgers
How do
are
you feel,
champions,
Stevie, about
defeating the Yankees in front of their home crowd, overcoming a 5-run deficit to take Game 5 during a fifth-inning meltdown by the Yankees. Freddie Freeman had a monster World Series homering in the first 4 games and drove in 2 runs with a clutch 2-out single during the Dodgers' 7-6 clinching win. Freddie, how you feeling?
This is it right here, Buster. Oh, my word. This is what you set out to do every spring training in February. This is the ultimate goal, and to be down 5-0 today, that's the epitome of this team. They grind, we grind, and we showed it all day today what this team is about.
I think falling short in the World Series will stick with me until I die, probably. I think just like every other loss, those things don't go away.
All right, Mad Dog, kicking things off with you. How bad was the Yankees' Game 5 collapse?
Well, and good morning, Steve. Yes, the Yankee loss last night historically goes down as one of the top 2 or 3 in the history of the franchise. I mean, number one would be obviously something with the Red Sox in 2004, maybe Bill Mazeroski's Game 7 home run in the 9th inning in 1960 when the Pirates, who were not as good as the Yankees, beat New York in 7 games. And then this one. Again, we can give the Dodgers all the credit in the world. Freeman's going to the Hall of Fame. Betts is great. Ohtani with one shoulder. I mean, Buehler in the 9th inning. Dave Roberts. We can spend and act poetic. I get it. And I will have Stevie do that in a minute. But the bottom line is this game in particular is all about the Yankees. This is so bad in so many departments. From that play with Cole not covering first base, which would have got him out of the 5th inning. Obviously, Judge, it's hard to kill Judge. He had a great game yesterday, great catch. You got to make that play. Volpe, as we just saw on the plate at third base. The Yankees, Stevie, were horrifically fundamentally challenged in this series. They run the bases terribly. They're not a good defensive team. The Dodgers outworked them, outgritted them in every shape, way, or form. The Yankees hit the home runs. When they hit the home runs, they got a chance. They lost both games that Cole pitched, which we said last week couldn't happen, and he pitched well in both games. So It's not like they lost the games and he was lousy. He pitched great in Game 1. He pitched great, gritty last night, and they still lost. But, listen, I don't know what they do in spring training. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, they can run the bases. They are horrifically challenged from Soto in right field, and I'll get to him in a minute. I'm not happy with him. I don't know what they do in spring training. Do they work on things? I mean, I know Boone is a great protector of the players, and nobody's knocking Boone because he's a nice man and he's done a pretty good job. But boy, oh boy, if I'm a Yankee fan right now, I got to ask myself why the Dodgers so fundamentally sound, and I'm not.
The New York Yankees are now 47-2 all time in World Series games when they had a 5-run lead. Now, you lose a 5-run lead because, you've got Freddie smacking another home run, Mookie Betts playing out of his mind, Shohei Ohtani doing Herculean things. If that were the reason why, then we got to suck it up and to say, look, they were elite, et cetera, even though the Dodgers are. They clearly were the better team. They deserve to win this World Series. They thoroughly outplayed the New York Yankees for the most part. Fair enough. But when you have a 5-run lead and you lose it courtesy of 3 errors in the same inning, and that guy Garrett Cole was pitching hitless baseball. I mean, this man, he was big time in those first 5 innings, all right? When I see something like that, it just has me baffled. It has me shaking my head. Aaron Judge, you finally showed up at the plate last game when you had a comfortable lead. You hit an RBI. This particular game, you start off the game, you smack a home run finally, okay? The New York Yankees have been having problems fielding and running the bases all year long. And this is where Aaron Boone is going to take some hits. Do we think he's done a good job? Sure. Do we think he's a good manager? Sure. But this is New York City. This is the Yankees. And when you see a team that's playing sloppy baseball, and you can point to the fact that it was happening all season long, that's managerial responsibilities right there, doggy. You got to make sure those things get cleaned up. And it didn't get cleaned up. And to go against an elite team like the Dodgers are elite in terms of their talent. But their manager, Dave Roberts, props to him, major props to him. He did an outstanding job managing throughout this postseason, especially in this World Series. And the fundamental errors that the New York Yankees spent all season making, the Dodgers didn't. And that's, again, it comes down to managerial responsibility. So we have to look at it from that standpoint. Aaron Judge, probably going to be a 2-time AL MVP. Nobody cares. You didn't show up when it counted in the postseason. Should have won game 1. Was right there for game 2. This should have easily been a 7-game series if the New York Yankees that we saw during the regular season, in spite of everything that I said, showed up. But they didn't. The stars showed up for the Dodgers, except Ohtani, of course. But even he showed up in game 1. The Yankees can't say the same. And that brings me to Soto, where we both have to go. You might have a different thing to say about him because obviously they lost and there were things that you could point to, doggy. Here's my issue. I'm scared he's going to leave. I'm scared he's going to leave. Because I'm telling you something right now about high-end competitors, and you know this, doggy, from covering sports for so long. Those brothers who show up detest dudes who don't. Now, if you can't, you can't. There's a level of sympathy and empathy that you have for people who just can't do it. But when you can do it, right up until the bright lights arrive, and then all of a sudden you shrink beneath that spotlight, there's nothing stars detest more. There's nothing more sickening than that because they know you have the ability, you just can't handle the pressure. And that's really what this comes down to. And if you're Soto with the Dodgers and the Mets expected to come your way, okay? You're only 26 years of age. You're already a champion from your days with the Nationals. You showed up like a champion for the most part this postseason. And you got a dude that you're playing alongside in Aaron Judge who didn't do it. Where does that leave you? Because you don't want to sit around. Think about the Dodgers and what they have available to them. Despite what they already have, they got the money to go out and get more. In part because Shohei Ohtani deferred most of his $70 million per year salary. They have it. So they can go out and get it. And if you're Soto, why would you not go somewhere else rather than play with a bunch of dudes who shrunk when the lights were most brightest? Why would you condemn yourself to that kind of situation when you know wherever you go, you're going to get your money and you have an opportunity to play with dudes who don't wilt beneath the pressure?
Mad Dog, you heard him after the game. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm down on Soto after the game. You know, I'm open to talk to all 30 teams. Do you think any Yankee fan, after one of the worst losses in the history of that franchise, wants to hear Soto basically say, yeah, you know what, I'll go play for the Royals if the money's right? And that's kind of the message he gave you after the game, which bothers me. Now, listen, I think at the end of the day, the Yankees will have no choice, and they're going to have to pay him the most money. But let's be honest, he's a mercenary. He is, you know, he's not a guy who's steeped in the Yankee tradition. He'll play for anybody if the money's right. Part of that is his product of his agent, who's a great agent, Scott Boras, but part of that's the product there. Business comes first. But, you know, if you're a Yankee fan, after that loss, that's the last thing you want to hear from him after the game. One thing about what Stevie said on Boone, and Steve's 100% right about the accountability, the thing that hurts Boone is he killed the Yankees in game 1. He managed a very poor game. And if you noticed last night, Stevie, he took Boone out, he took Cole out in the 7th inning of game 1, got a lot of abuse for it for 88 pitches. And last night, he let Cole stay in there for 115 pitches. So he basically is admitting to you that, yeah, you know what, if I did this last night, why didn't I do it in game 1, plus the Cortez thing? We can go through it. He did a bad job. Now, listen, I'm not trying to throw Boone under the bus here, and he's going to be back. But that bothers the Yankee fan. Game 1, he was awful. I think he cost him the game. He was awful. Other than that, he was okay, fine in the series, and the players love him and everything else. As far as the Soto thing is concerned, Steve, you don't have a problem with the idea that Soto, 5 minutes after the game, is telling me, you know what? I'll talk to anybody. I'll play in the moon if the money's. The Yankees just lost one of the worst games in the history of the franchise, and I got Juan Soto 10 minutes after the game telling me, I don't know where I'll go. I'm open for business.
So what does that tell you?
It's not that it doesn't bother me, doggy. It's that there's so many things about the Yankees that have been bothersome. Remember, last night, that's the 3rd World Series they've lost in their last 4 appearances since winning, going on that 1996 to 2000 run. That's their 3rd World Series loss in the last 4 appearances. And the Yankees, and the way we used to look at the Yankees, we now look at the Dodgers that way. And so because of that, stockpiling talent, paying it, you look at the New York Yankees and stuff like that. When you see Betts and Ohtani and Freddie Freeman and everybody, and then you look at the New York Yankees and Aaron Judge doesn't show up. If you're Soto, again, I don't like it, but in the same breath, I think it's indicative of him saying, look, man, this is a different day. This is a different day and age. This is a different time. These ain't the Yankees of old. That mystique and that privilege that you felt wearing Yankee pinstripes. If you were an elite player, you wanted to be in the Bronx to validate you and your resume. You don't think like that now as a New York Yankee because the New York Yankees ain't what they used to be.
I mean, to me, Mad Dog, it felt like one foot's out the door.
You can make that. He's negotiating already. It's a time to negotiate, Mal. Not 5 minutes after you lost. He made the error, but he made a big catch in the outfield. He hit a 2-run homer. He doubled in the 8th inning. The Yankee fan loves him. He had a pretty good game 4. You mentioned the RBI. Do you think? I do. Do you think Judge sort of salvaged his World Series by the last 2 games?
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Because when he hit a home run, when he hit a double, or the RBI rather, in Game 4.
Game 4.
Keep in mind that the Yankees were comfortably ahead.
Right.
They were comfortably ahead. So that's not going to count to a lot of people. Last night does, and he did show up last night, and we appreciate that. But my God, games 1, 2, and 3, absolutely awful. Game 4, it was after a cushion was provided for you, and by this time the Dodgers had accumulated such a level of momentum that it was going to be nearly impossible to overcome.
Yeah.
So what are you supposed to do after that?
Last word here, Mad Dog.
Well, the last word is let's throw some bouquets to the Dodgers. I know everybody's going to sit there and talk about their payroll. I get that. I thought Buehler after the game, and I give him credit. Two surgeries. He goes out there in the 9th inning on short rest. 1, 2, 3. He's guts. That's an athlete. That's a guy who's got some. He did this before. He's got gumption. I mean, he can pitch for me any day he wants. Right. I love him. A big Buehler fan. Here's what I'll say about the Dodgers, and he made a good point. This kind of stamps their pandemic championship, which everybody likes to poo-poo because it's the pandemic. They played 60 games, neutral site, and da-da-da-da-dee-dee-dee. Baseball did what they had to do in 20 to get a season in. It's a full season, no, but a lot of people have discounted that. This stamps it.